Yeasted breakfast cake with pears. For this breakfast cake, you will need whole milk, maple syrup, active dry yeast, an egg and an egg yolk, vanilla extract, almond extract, a lemon or half an orange, all-purpose flour, butter, turbinado sugar, kosher salt, and pears, which we will saute in additional butter and season with cinnamon. To start, heat the milk to 100 to 105 degrees. About 15 seconds in the microwave should do it. Then combine the warmed milk with 3 tablespoons of the maple syrup and the active dry yeast. Let this mixture stand for 5 to 15 minutes to proof the yeast. This is to let you know that the yeast is alive. You'll see some bubbling. It might get foamy depending on how active the yeast is. It could be subtle or it could be vigorous. If you don't see any bubbling or any foaming, that means your yeast is dead and you should toss the mixture and begin again with new yeast. Once the yeast is proofed, add the egg yolk, the extracts, and the zest. Whisk until smooth, and then transfer the bowl to a stand mixer and attach the dough hook. Then add the flour and mix on the lowest speed until all of the flour is incorporated. This might take a minute or it might take 3 or 4 depending on your mixer and the flour. Once all of the flour is incorporated, increase the speed by 1 notch and continue mixing. The dough is going to come together and then it's going to look more like a batter, but keep mixing. After anywhere from 8 to 20 minutes, it will form a cohesive ball around the hook and start slapping the sides of the bowl. This is what it looks like when it's ready. So at that point, scrape the dough off of the hook and then use a rubber spatula to lift the dough from the bottom of the bowl to make sure that you don't have any pockets of flour and that everything has been thoroughly mixed. And then add the butter. Just drop the butter onto the surface of the dough, but don't mix it in at this point. Cover the bowl with plastic wrap and let the dough rise until doubled. It'll take about an hour. Meanwhile, prepare your cake pan and your pears. Generously coat a 9-inch springform pan with butter and sugar, and then place the pan in the refrigerator. For the pears, in a large skillet, saute them with 2 tablespoons of butter and then season to taste with cinnamon. Set them aside to cool completely. Back with your dough, add the salt and then mix with the dough hook or a wooden spoon until the butter and salt are completely incorporated. Scrape the mixture into the chilled pan and let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. While the dough rests, finish your pears. Add the remaining tablespoon of maple syrup and stir to combine. Then, with wet hands, gently press the dough into the prepared pan. Like you're making a pizza crust. You want it as even as possible, but especially make sure that it's not thicker in the middle than it is on the sides. Pile the pears, leaving the juices in the bowl, on top of the dough and arrange them in an even layer. Gently press the pears into the surface of the dough and then cover the pan with a sheet of plastic wrap. Let the cake rise for about half an hour. Meanwhile, heat the oven to 350 degrees. Just before baking, sprinkle the top with the remaining turbinado sugar and then bake for 25 to 30 minutes or until deep golden brown. Let the cake cool on a wire rack for about 10 minutes before removing the sides of the springform pan, and then continue cooling until ready to serve. For more cooking videos, visit us at arkansasonline.com/cooking.